Welcome to my horror movie reviews. Yes, it is October. Now it's finally gonna review some horror movies. And I would like to say this before I start this review that I apologize last year for the lack of horror movie reviews. I had a lot of stuff to do last year when it comes to school and life. So I really apologize for that. I won't do it again this year. I really promise you that. But without further ado, I'm going to start this horror movie review series with one of my favorite horror films and one of my favorite thrillers of all time, The Shining. Here, Johnny. I can't do the impression right, I'm sorry. Now, I will admit, watching this movie again, this is a freaky film. The Shining, I first saw this movie when I was like 9 to 10 years old, and I was really scared by this movie back then. But watch this movie now, this movie's actually pretty freaky. I think Stanley Kubrick did a fantastic job with the creepy atmosphere of this movie, especially with the hotel, and Jack Nicholson's performance in this movie was very, very on par with the tone, this disturbing vibe, this sort of like psychological thriller elements in this movie is very, it very gave me goosebumps. I actually watched this movie at night, like around 9:30. I watched this movie in the dark, and all the lights off, and it's nighttime. Really helped the mood for this movie. This very creepy atmosphere. It's very unsettling and disturbing tone of this movie really helped. And I will admit, I'm one of those few people who've never read the book. I've never read the Shining book. Actually, I never read any of Stephen King's book. I will admit that. I have not. So, when it comes to me comparing the books to the movies, I don't really care that much because I never read the book. But this movie is very creepy. And this film honestly has my favorite performance of Jack Nicholson, that's Jack Torrance, who is a father and a husband. He's also a writer moving into this hotel, which kind of basically has all the supernatural or almost demonic spirit in it, which affects him and also his son, Danny, and who also is a psychic, who also see all these evil images and just freaky stuff. He sees a lot of this freaky stuff. Of course, with the two girls in the hallway. That's another iconic scene in this movie. Besides here Johnny with his face through the door. This movie is very freaky. That's how I can describe this movie. It's freaky. It's freaky. The biggest praise I could get this movie is the cinematography. It is fan-freaking-tastic. I mean, when it comes to the hallways, the maze, and just the outside of the hotel, it's beautiful to look at. It's very creepy and very ominous. It really gives you this feeling that this hotel is haunted. That this is not a good hotel to stay at. It's very unsettling. And it adds the creepy vibe to it, and I think Stanley Kubrick did a very, very good job on the cinematography. Besides the performances, that's the biggest praise I can get this movie I love how this movie is slow paced. This movie is slow paced. This movie's like 2 hours and 24 minutes long, and I'm surprised how long this movie was. Cause as soon as I checked the time on the back of my Blu-ray, it's like 144 minutes. I'm like, dang, this movie is long. And for a movie that came out in 1980, this movie holds up very well. Very, very well. And I know Stephen King doesn't like this movie, how this movie is inaccurate to the book, and that's what I'm saying too. I haven't read any of his books, so I don't really care that much that the book isn't really 100% accurate to the book. Just because it's going to be accurate to the novel by Stephen King, that doesn't mean it's going to be great. I mean, have you guys even seen the miniseries? Ugh, I hate that movie. So the book doesn't really have to do with anything with the adaptation of this movie, because that's all this movie is an adaptation of the book. It is not directly 100% accurate to the book. For those of you who are fans of the book, the movie doesn't have to be anything like the book in order for the movie to be good. Same thing with comic book movies, so they're just adaptations. Not directly from the source material. Simple as that. Now, I am aware what happened on set with The Shining, that it had a lot of problems with the cast members and Stanley Kubrick, who were just verbally abusing Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, especially with Shelley Duvall, who couldn't really get the scene right, or they just really just pushing her to get the scene right, just verbally abusing them, which I was like, dang. I know a director could be that mean, but you can definitely see it in their performances in this movie, which I gotta say is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. Just who would go through all that verbal abuse just to get a scene in a movie right? Who would just go through all that pain and stress just to get a scene right in the movie? But it paid off very well in the movie through the final cut of the movie. It actually turned out very well. When this movie first came out, critics trashed it. Like, this movie was panned by critics. People hated this movie. And it's kind of hard to believe that this movie inspired so many people in the horror genre. And it influenced so many other films when it comes to parodies and other stuff. And this movie been parodied so many times that it's hard to believe that this movie was panned when it first came out. Like, people slammed it. And at the same time, I'm not really surprised that so many films, like, of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey was slammed by critics when it first came out. Of course, people love that movie nowadays. Now, The Shining is considered a classic not only in the horror genre, but in films in general. This movie is considered a classic. And of course, this movie is a classic. It actually is in one of my top 5 favorite horror films of all time. That's how freaking great this movie is. Now, one of my favorite scenes I will get to right now. Scene where Jack goes on a rampage in the entire hotel, and the first scene we see when he finally realizes that Jack has gone crazy is actually getting affected by these supernatural spirits in the hotel, but very creepy and that's a great performances right there of Jack Nicholson. Very Oscar worthy. Also, where he chases after his son, Danny, where he has to axe it and basically almost about to kill his son. And the snow maze scene was also very cool. Of course, the "Here, Johnny" scene was great too. Also, the hallway scene when Danny sees the 2 girls in the hallway. Danny cuts to a quick shot of them being dead and butchered. Also very creepy. And the guy with the split head was very creepy too. But this film was very freaky. Also, the scene where the guy dressed up as a dog or a bear just sucking this guy's dick. I just had to put it out there. I just had to. Also, let's not forget the blood coming out of the elevator. The blood water just coming out the elevator. That was just awesome. Awesome. I still want to know how they did that, though. This movie came out in 1980. I still want to know how they did that. Someone tell me. Did they use red juice? Did they use Kool-Aid? Did they use food coloring? What did they do? Actual blood? What did they do with that? How did they did that? I don't know. Who knows? And guys, what more can there be said about The Shining? It is a classic. It's honestly my favorite Jack Nicholson movie and my favorite Stanley Kubrick movie. This movie is very creepy, very disturbing, and for a movie that came out in 1980, it holds up very well. It actually beats out any horror movie that comes out today, 2016. So with The Shining, fantastic horror movie, fantastic movie in general, just great. This movie is fantastic. And of course, The Shining gets an A+. I just might have a feeling this might be the best year of my horror movie reviews. I just have a feeling. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think of The Shining in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you're new to my channel and you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.